back. Thanks for staying with us. Now, I realize that I'm going to take some responsibility, but again, if you don't happy, call Jamie and yell at him. We have our guests waiting to discuss the autism petition. It may have been my fault in notifying everyone the appropriate time, which is going to be 9:15, and then, of course, the 5 or 7 minute late period that I've created myself in most appearances that I have. So, with that being said, and we have Carrie Justice on the phone, and Rick is all fever ready to debate anything that moves. So, Rick, first, why don't you give us a little introduction to what happened today?
What he usually does with everything that moves.
Right. Rick is going to give us a little introduction to just briefly, because we're going to have the sheriff on next week. Hopefully, we're going to book him and have an actual real debate about marijuana reform, I guess. And let's, Rick, give us an intro. Go ahead.
I'll give us a quick rundown. As a result of a Saginaw News article in regards to the move to decriminalize marijuana in Saginaw that will take place in 2014, article author Mark Tower decided to have an online debate and was fortunate enough to get the sheriff of the county, Federspiel, and then also the police chief of the city of Saginaw, Chief Leip, to participate in the online discussion. He asked me to participate as well as Carrie Justice, who's the person who's leading that effort in Saginaw. It was a very lively debate today. There were over 200 comments posted during the debate. The sheriff and the police chief both participated and answered as many questions as they possibly could given the 60-minute format. It was vigorous, it was exciting, and I felt like they gave a very honest effort without being hostile and without using mythology or any of the old assumptions against us. I know Carrie Justice is on the line right now. Carrie, are you there?
Yep. Yes, I am.
Fantastic.
By the way, Carrie is also heading up the whole point of all this, which is the Saginaw petition drive for the decriminalization of marijuana, which is why all this has come to fruition. And Carrie, welcome back to the show. And tell us a little bit what your reflections were on the debate today. Do you think they're being fair? Do you think they're reasonable arguments, or do you think that they're wrapped up in reefer madness still?
Well, you get a real strong sense of the same argument that they've made for years. You know, we're just enforcing the law, and this is the law. Sheriff Federspiel actually brought in a sheet of the code that he'd printed out and had folded up in his pocket, and it's the transporting, what an officer is required to enforce when we're transporting cannabis. And he said, if you guys change this law, we will, honor it. And that's pretty much the sense you get. That's what they say all the time. The numbers bear out a different story, I feel, but that is the standard response. It's not me. I'm just doing my job. The prosecutor, he's the one that brings the charges. But I do get a sense that they do want to have the debate and have a conversation. They did want to know, is this like laying the groundwork for something in 2016? And Rick mentioned, it's pretty commonly accepted something's going to happen here in 2016. And I kind of off the cuff said to Sheriff Federspiel, what do you feel about it? And he said, well, if it was the right language, and what would it look like? How do you know when it's right? And he said he'd have to take a look, and I said, why don't you come on and join us and draft the language? And he, seems open to that kind of a suggestion. I do get that sense. That seemed genuine.
The dialogue was a written format for all of the listeners here. It was not an audio format like we're doing right now. So the response times were a little slower, and that sometimes gives people a little bit of an opportunity to be more thoughtful in their responses. And I did feel like I was a little bit encouraged by what I'd seen. Now, of course, I'm not going to be fooled by Sheriff Federspiel. He's still the same guy that drove around our protest in 2010, honking the horn of his seized vehicle, trying to disturb the peace and disrupt our protest. So he's still that same guy. But in this instance, it certainly seemed like he'd moderated his position. And after 4 years of the Medical Marijuana Act, I suppose anybody's entitled to change. I would still like to see him orchestrate the return of Ed Boyke's property, though. That's what one of the things that the John Roberts raid and the Ed Boyke raid is what predicated our rally in 2010. But both gentlemen, I thought today, Carrie, and tell me what you think, both gentlemen were equally interested in the questions that you and I asked, as well as the questions from the general public, people that just participated when they were on the site. Wouldn't you think that's true?
Yeah, they were. I was in the room with the sheriff and the police chief, and as they were kind of directing the flow of the questions, there's one for you, Sheriff, and it was, he was interested. Who, which one? This guy wants to know that one. What you want? What you want to know? They wanted to definitely address some of the questions that we had. I did see Ed Boyke. He, give him some praise here. He is circulating some petitions for us there in Saginaw. We met him and passed some off to him. So he's still doing it. I think he did get quite a bit of his property back, but it's, some was destroyed.
He is missing a family
you're right.
room that the federals.
Sorry, I found the video I was looking for. Keep going.
But, yeah, as Jamie's mentioning, all of his property except the thing that he stated publicly was the most important thing to him. That's the one thing that hasn't been returned. So the one thing you can't replace with heirlooms. But, again, that's just another tale of woe. And, of course, John Roberts with the Michigan Cannabis Cancer Project, that was just the beginning of the woes for that storied warrior. So we've got some people that...
and he was among the first to act, no question.
Yep, I agree.
Acted, viciously.
So, Carrie, we know you about, what do we need, about 2,000 petition signatures in Saginaw. Tell us where you're at with the signatures and how many you need to go.
Well, we need 2,000 valid signatures, and we have a team that's checking them for validity for us. We have some raw signatures now. We get to turn in our first batch where we have enough to go, and turn them in and get go on it, let them start validating them. See what our error rate is, I call it, how many, because everybody is so excited about this. When they see your petition, you ask them, are you a registered voter in Saginaw? Yes. They sign and you find out they're from Birch Run or, St. Charles or something. But so some they're not all going to be valid and count for our, toward our 2,000. But we probably have about 300 raw signatures right now. We're looking forward to a big day on Saturday. I won't be in Detroit. I'm going to miss it. I'm sorry, guys. But it's Cinco de Mayo in Saginaw, and they have a big parade, and we're expecting to gather a lot of signatures there. We're gathering at 10 at the courthouse to do that.
I used to live in Saginaw and can tell you it's a strong Hispanic population there. Cinco de Mayo is a big thing in the city.
Yeah, and we have some people, from the Hispanic population going to help us. They're supporting our cause. They're circulating petitions now in the community. And everything's all good, they say. And as I left that debate today, I felt it was such a poignant moment because I drove past the Admiral Station where the young man died last night, was shot to death, 16. And it's like, come on, people, we really got to get handling this kind of stuff and not focus on cannabis. And you say what you want, but the numbers bear out what's happening.
Some of the questions that were raised today by people and by the panelists involved reallocation of funds towards more realistic application. For example, you, Carrie, have a statistic, 87% of drug arrests in Saginaw are marijuana related. Is that true?
That's the FBI's National Crime Report, FBI statistics.
87%.
And I did list them, in Saginaw. Those aren't Saginaw's numbers, but Saginaw definitely adds to those numbers. Mm-hmm. And, Michigan has 4 of the 10 most violent cities, and, Saginaw has some very violent intersections, 9th and 12th ranked by the FBI, recognized by the FBI as violent against women. You're likely to encounter crime there. It's bad.
I did notice some of the discussion was about the time necessary to, administrate an arrest for marijuana and the amount of time that it took, and whatever. I didn't know what the outcome of that discussion was, but it was one of the factors. What were they? They were trying. The officers were trying to take the position that it was not a lot of time for an arrest.
Right.
In fact, it's really 2 to 4 hours in most instances, right?
And they also wanted to say things like, we're going to go back and take a look at how many people are actually arrested and incarcerated for simple possession. But that's not really the point. The point isn't just that. I think that's another one of the dodges, just like, we have to follow state law. Chief Lipe and the sheriff were both adamant that state law prohibited marijuana use, and when they made arrests under state law. I pointed out that other municipalities have faced the same dilemma and have arrived at a different conclusion and have a different solution for that, and that there were other ways to look at the issue. It was a very lively debate. They responded directly to questions from Jamie Lowell, from Brad Forrester, I think, from several other people. So the participants and the community members equally were treated with respect as far as their questions go.
All right. Well, listen. Let's make sure that we can get Sheriff on next week, maybe, and have a intelligent discussion and raise the same issues in whatever form. Carrie, do you think you can set that up, or Jamie, you're going to broker?
Yes.
All right. Good. All right. We'll look forward to that.
He gave me his number and said he gave me his email. He gave me his phone number. Said he will take a text. He wants to be included in our community.
All right. Sounds good.
Nice.
That's good.
I did want to say this, that they do say that it's not me, I'm not arresting people, but we all know every day we're seeing patients and caregivers be arrested, and we all know the stories of our friends who had 2 dukes and are on probation or parole or whatever, So the reality, the facts are not what they're saying, but they in Saginaw, they really have to take it up a notch. It's very bad for the way they're trying to go about business, saying, the streets are so crime-riddled and poverty-stricken, and it's really terrible. The areas I go by, there's the balloons where someone was shot in their car, pregnant 5 months.
And you know what? I got to tell you, the most important thing is beginning the discussion. I'm glad that we've been able to do that, and let's look forward to getting them on next week and continuing this, because I know that we're a lot of momentum building has been the case. Well, listen, Carrie, thank you so much for calling in, Rick, for sharing that. And please join and call Carrie and help, if we can, get those petitions signed. All right? Talk to you.
Yes, thank you.
All right.
Bye.